All right, Geoff. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you taking time, and this is a long weekend and you have a lot of good things, and yet you made time for me to join this.
I was intrigued. I've never seen this before. So this is my first experience. You haven't even explained this to me yet.
This, just by looking at it, can you tell what it's read on it?
Okay, so it says, what does it say? It says articulate intelligence.
Okay.
It's from Google. It says the new way to cloud conversation prompts about AI for curious minds. So I'm a curious mind.
Okay. You are?
Yes.
I've shown the same, the first moment when people they thought this was a book.
Okay.
This looks like a book, but this is not a book. But then the first thing that they thought that they saw is artificial intelligence, but it is actually articulate intelligence.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I was just curious whether you've read it, because maybe you've spent some time, looked for this thing online. That's the reason why you knew this is articulate, but not artificial.
Oh man, now I'm questioning myself. Did I say artificial or did I say articulate?
You said articulate, so
I did,
right?
Okay.
Right.
I can see how someone could easily say artificial intelligence,
yes,
just by our brain. We're so accustomed to it.
Yes, even when I was holding it, I was thinking that this is artificial intelligence. But then when this thing was on my desk, and I was just like working on other things, and I was looking at it, and I was like, this is not artificial intelligence. This is articulate intelligence.
Okay.
So yeah. So this is, I don't know if this can be called as a game. This is more like a conversational builder.
Okay.
Kind of Cards of Humanity. So what we do is basically based on what you wanted to like talk.
Okay.
Fill in the blank, or true or false, or like introduce yourself or make connection. Each one has a different information behind it, and based on that, you basically talk about it.
Okay.
So you want to start off?
Yeah, I think we should probably introduce ourselves, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what do? I just draw a card?
Just draw a card.
Okay. All right, so I'm drawing a card. It says, oops, it's sticky. Okay, so this card says, oh, one, introduce yourself. And then back it says, oh, one thing you'd automate in your life. Gosh, man, there's so many things I'd like to automate. Honestly, right now, I've been thinking a lot about email.
Okay.
And doing more automation with email.
Okay.
And making it easier for people to filter through all of their emails.
Okay. Have you used Outlook's Copilot?
You know what? I probably have not used it as extensively as I should. I have a Copilot license.
Okay.
I have not really dug into how to use it as well as I think is probably possible.
Yes. I've been using Copilot for Outlook for quite some time.
Okay.
Here's some cool features that it shows. Basically, let's just say you got a bunch of emails and then you don't know which one to respond first.
Yes.
And you had a bunch of follow-ups on a specific email. It's a very long thread. Monday morning, when you open the email, Outlook will tell, hey, you need to follow up on this. This is something you haven't gotten a response yet. Do you want me to compose an email for this? On a click of a button, it will go through the entire thread, gets the context, and writes an email for you so you can review it and then send it.
Oh, that's nice.
And on the Copilot within the Outlook, you can ask questions like, hey, what are all the tasks that I completed last week? What are all the things that I need to respond that I couldn't respond? It will sort out all those things and gives you the list of things that you have responded, list of things that you haven't responded. And these sorts of automation, in some scenarios, we wouldn't even worry about some emails that kind of buried.
Yeah.
And 3 months later, someone will send that email again, hey, did you get a chance to look into it? Those are the things that it actually does exceptionally well.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about categorization? Like, because you get lots of different categories of different emails. Like you were saying, prioritizing. These are things that I just needed to be aware. Bucket it here. This is something I need to actually really read in depth, and this is something that I never really want to see again.
I don't know if there is any AI component to it.
Okay.
But it has some level of categorization. Maybe I haven't explored that level yet.
Okay.
So maybe we'll take some time and maybe introduce like you're Geoff Moore, and you are as chief information officer for Valmark.
Yeah.
Can you talk about like how you got in here? Like what's in your world?
What's in my world? So Geoff Moore, chief information officer, Valmark Financial Group. I've been in financial services and tech like my entire career. I had a really short stint in compliance. Okay. And then I've just loved it since. So I've been at Valmark now for this spring will be 15 years.
Okay.
Mostly in my role. So working at a smaller company, I get to work on a lot of different technology. I get a lot of variety, which I really like. And right now, we're really focusing in on AI and thinking about how can we leverage this both for our back office to be more efficient, as well as some of our advisors, out in the field. How can they be more efficient? How can they serve their clients better using AI? And I think I'll share a story with you. We just had our customer conference back in October. I was telling a couple people about AI. I had an advisor come up to me and he's like, AI is a passing fad. This is not a thing. I'm like, okay, I hear you. Will you please come to my session and let me know how you feel after my session?
Okay.
So he came to the session. He's like, all right, I think there might be something to this. Can you put me on your beta list to review some of this new technology? And then just so recently, he's been sending me some ideas, and I've sent him a few maybe non-traditional things, more like data extraction and manipulating data as opposed to just, generative stuff. Yeah, and so he's definitely a believer. So I think there's some opportunities, but I think a lot of people still need to see examples, right? Like we don't know yet. And I feel like I'm getting new examples all the time.
All the time, yeah.
All the time. I'm like, why did I never think of that? But it's so obvious.
Yeah. Do you think that skepticism in the general public, or at least the ones in technology or in finance, is because they don't know the technology enough, or because they're what's your thought on it?
So I'll give you two things. First is if you haven't read the AI Index report from Stanford University, it's absolutely fascinating. So the most recent report, they had a stat in there asking, do the benefits of AI outweigh the risks? And in 2023, U.S. respondents, only 37% of them agreed that the benefits outweighed the risks. We were the lowest country. The only one lower was France in the study. So there's already this, now granted, that was a while ago, right? So opinions might be shifting, but there's just a lot of concern around data privacy, what happens with my data. I don't think people understand, and they haven't seen enough examples of really powerful AI in their own personal lives. Like maybe you and I have seen some of that because we're like really following it closely, but if maybe you're not a native technologist, you haven't seen as many yet. So you hear some of the risks and you're like, but I'm thinking that's starting to change.
It's actually surprising to me that you said only 37%.
That's right.
Most of the AI companies are from the United States.
Right.
They are more and more right. Y Combinator, I read an article, but that Y Combinator had invested about $2 billion in 2023 just on AI startups.
Yeah.
I've spoken with a bunch of Y Combinator funded startup founders.
Yeah.
And I've seen most of them have an AI component. If not, the only component that they sell is AI on top of an existing mundane process. So I'm really surprised at 37%.
I am too. Back to your stat though, like when it comes to the US, we've got the most like major models of any country. We've got more investment in the last 10 years. So it does seem like a little bit of a discrepancy, right? That we've got so many people sort of maybe not as enthused, but from the investment perspective, people are investing pretty heavily.
Yeah. Let's do another card here. So,
okay. Are you going to do a card?
I'm going to do, yeah.
Yes, so you do a card.
I will say make connections.
Okay.
The card says, what specific problem are you trying to solve with AI? There's a lot of problems that I run into on a daily basis. Okay, one good problem that I think that I wanted to solve recently, I recently moved to a new place.
Okay.
And I wanted to make sure whenever I box them up, I have a better way of understanding where my things are in each of those boxes.
Okay.
I thought of either putting a camera, recording when I'm throwing things at the box.
Okay.
And let that video record or photo taken and then run that video through a large language model and do the analysis and tell, hey, you dropped this thing in box ABC or 1, 2, 3, whatever it is.
Okay.
So that, So,
wait, so were you labeling the boxes then?
Yes.
Okay. So you gave it like some sort of index. Yeah. Like this is box 1, this is box 2, this is box 3. Yeah. The AI could see the box number and then just you could throw whatever in there.
Yeah. I actually did try that. So I
totally random?
Yeah. I put a camera. I put 7 boxes.
Okay.
And then I collected some items that I want to put in those boxes.
Okay.
I didn't collect them, but I kind of dragged them into the living room, and I knew I wanted to sort it out. By the time I'm sorting it out, I got a decision fatigue as to where I should put this thing, because 7 boxes is not going to help me? I need more boxes.
Right.
So probably 50% of my time, I dropped all those things in those boxes. But then after that, I got a decision fatigue. I couldn't figure out where should I drop that thing. But then whatever the video that I collected, I scanned through the Gemini's large language model.
Okay.
And I have names on those boxes. And it was able to tell 60 to 70% accurate information that I dropped a specific item in a specific box. For those 7 boxes, I have a good understanding of what those boxes have. And I couldn't scale it because it was really hard for me if there's too many things for me to sort. So I thought it's a cool idea, and I, to some extent, solved the problem.
Interesting. So like historically, we might have tried something like an RFID tag on every single item, which can be difficult or expensive to put all of those tags on every single item. But you were able to kind of do the same thing, maybe not as highly accurate, but
yes.
It close. And this was just your first pass at it. If you had like fine-tuned a model, it might have been much more accurate.
It's more of, I think I'm confident that the model will give me accurate answers. It was more of a logistic problem for me to figure out of all the things I need to figure out, this kind of went a little back ways. And then I moved on and figuring out and packing stuff. As a cool idea, I thought maybe someday next time when I move, I'll implement. Hopefully by the time AI is much more matured and we have a solution out there in the market. Cool. So let's see.
All right. Well, we'll just go in order. We went 1, 2. I'll do number 3 here.
Yeah.
Now this one says true or false. Number 3, true or false. Most people are excited about the possibilities of AI. So I feel like we kind of just covered this a little bit with some of our stats. But I will say, kind of to just reiterate, I think once people see examples, they start to get much more excited, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know that was possible." So I think people like you and I sharing examples on social media, other avenues, I think is going to help people get excited.
Yeah, there is a misconception or maybe general understanding or scaredness among the majority out there that AI will take over my job. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I have a much more utopian view. I've also watched a lot of sci-fi as a kid, so I've definitely heard of all of the Terminator stories. AI is going to take. I'm currently watching Dune Prophecy, which is all about how they don't have thinking machines in that world. But I tend to think that as humans, we're creative and we figure out new ways to do things. So I have a positive outlook on it, but that's just sort of me general. I've always thought technology is there to help us just remove suffering and get rid of things we really don't want to do, and just make it easier. But that's just me. How about you?
I think I keep telling this to people, at least to my parents. They ask me, "Hey, I've been hearing about AI. What do you think?" And maybe their colleagues or the kids of their colleagues been asking them that, "Hey, your son's doing stuff on AI. Can you ask him whether AI is going to take away my job?" My constant or standard answer is, if you don't start using AI, your job will be taken by a person who starts using AI.
Yeah.
So it's ideal, better to start using AI so that your job is saved versus not using them. So you're more powerful with AI versus without AI.
Yeah. Don't put your head in the sand.
Exactly.
It's already here. It's already coming. Embrace it. How can you be better at your work?
Start using it.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a question. You mentioned sci-fi movies. You like them, right? Do you think sci-fi movies inspire innovators to come up with the technology that they actually see in those movies?
Oh yeah, no question.
Can you give me some examples?
Simplest example. So original Star Trek, the people could talk to the computer.
Okay.
Now growing up as a kid, I thought this was completely far-fetched. How could that ever be possible? How could a computer understand that? But yet we have Alexa, Google Home, people can easily talk to the computer, ask a question, get a response. Now we've got agents, right? You can talk, it can understand you, natural language processing. So I think for me, I think that's one example where I'm sure somebody was like, I bet we could talk to a computer and try to make it happen. I'm sure there's a lot more examples out there.
I'll give you 3 examples that kind of bothers me, boggles my mind.
Yeah.
There is an old Indian movie, like a very regional Indian movie. I'm gonna put that in the video description here. Okay. It's a periodic movie where things fly and like sci-fi. Okay. There is this thing in that movie where the person opens the box.
Okay.
It's actually a video in the box, and the other person is talking on the other side on that box, and the box gets closed.
Yeah.
It's the exact concept of a laptop. And there are no, of course, there are no keyboards and stuff, but the person is talking there, and video is being played there.
Yeah.
It's too early. It's probably 1930s or 1940s.
Really early.
And there is no such thing called computer, I believe, at least in India. And this movie has that thing in it.
Yeah.
And another example is, there were some movies in India where headsets were there without connecting to any wires and stuff, any cables, and people were like
communicate.
Yeah, communicate. Yeah. And watch. It is another old black and white movie and person talking in the watch. Today, I could do that with my Apple Watch or other Samsung Watch, whatever it is. So I strongly believe sci-fi movies inspire innovators to like, hey, can we actually build that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, next up is me. So I'm going to do... should I do this?
Whatever, man. Introduce yourself. You're going to introduce yourself. Okay,
I'll do this. Okay. What would your robot assistant be named? I love Jarvis.
Oh, Jarvis.
So I'm going to name Jarvis.
Let's get it called Jarvis.
So inspired by Iron Man movies. I love the character, my best Marvel character. So if I ever make or purchase a robot assistant, I'll definitely name Jarvis.
Jarvis, okay.
Yeah. I'll come up with my own abbreviation. I think Marvel has a different abbreviation for Jarvis. Yeah. Something intelligent, I guess. So, yeah.
So this summer, I got a lawn robot, and I did name it. We called it C3PMO.
Okay. That's nice.
It's the name of our lawn robot.
Is it good? Is it doing the job?
It is shockingly good.
Awesome.
It is shockingly. It did take a little while to get it to work, but
okay. So you get to see on your phone how much it covered.
Oh yeah.
All that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Just like Roomba,
just like a Roomba, but you can tell it to do straight lines, diagonals, whatever you want.
Nice. All right. So
we haven't done a fill in the blank, so maybe I'll do one of these. Let's see what this is. Okay, fill in the blank. Oh, AI will make blank better for my team. I'm going to say, and when I think of team, I'm thinking globally of my organization. I'm going to say AI will make answers better for my team. That's when I go. So I think the whole idea with retrieval augmented generation, being able to find corporate knowledge, easily distill it, give the good reference documents to help train people. I think a lot of value in that. I've seen people doing searches where they're trying to find something and they get a huge list of documents, difficult, hard to sort through. But getting AI to give you a good summary and then show you the reference documents to dig deeper, I think that's going to be really helpful for organizations, because we've been stockpiling all of these knowledge-based articles, data,
analysis, paralysis.
Yeah, I think the ability to like help us condense some of that stuff and deliver up at least the best.
Yeah,
or I think
at least the time to get an answer will be shorter than it is today.
Yes, agreed.
It's a great answer. So, I'm going to do true or false. AI is transforming every department in a business. It's a true or false. I think the answer is yes. AI is going to transform, and it is actually transforming already. You think so?
I agree. I think there's some areas that may go first and be a little bit quicker, but I think eventually... like the simple example we just had a minute ago about knowledge bases. I mean, every department can benefit from that. Something, or a technology, a base technology like that.
Directly or indirectly, I would say.
Do you think there's some areas? So I think one of the problems people have in roles like ours is you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Where do you start first? Do you feel like there are certain departments, areas that are going to benefit first, and we should target those to either get quick wins to help?
I have a few examples I'll tell.
Okay.
The first thing that which you mentioned in the earlier question, the knowledge management. We have tons and tons of documents. Obviously, in any organization, these documents are either in a shared folder or SharePoint site, or in some cases just sitting in someone's computer. Answers are from these documents. If we drop them in a repository and put a large language model on top of it and ask questions, and it can go search, index, and find you the answer in a very crisp summary, which is exactly what you want, rather than going through a 25-page document.
Right.
That's actually a quick win. and it's very easy to implement. There's not a lot you have to do. It's just power the existing system with an AI, and then it will do the job. And the next would be give a place or a space for your developers. If your organization has any developers, give them an AI assistant. Let them work on complex tasks versus simple tasks. And these simple tasks can be handled by these AI systems. So these two are the quick wins, and they can right away see the efficiency gains in their organizations. That's my answer.
One of the issues I've heard a lot of people talk about is, so you gave the earlier example of like corporate knowledge.
Yeah.
A lot of it can be outdated. And a lot of times people maybe haven't spent time curating it. And so now AI maybe the most relevant answer is an old document that's actually not relevant anymore, but nobody's cleaned it up. How do you think organizations are going to, do you think AI is going to help surface that and help us clean it up? Or like, how do you see that rolling? Because I've heard some people say maybe they're a little bit hesitant, especially customer-facing systems, when they know maybe I need to do a little bit more homework and clean up some legacy data.
I think cleanup is still essential.
Yeah.
It's like you put bad data, you get bad responses.
Right.
So if your data is, you have to spend some time whether your information is accurate enough or not.
Yeah.
Until we get to that point, whatever we give, we're going to get an information from 3, 5, 10 years ago. But it would be nice if that AI system has some system prompt giving us a heads up saying, hey, watch out, this document is last updated in 2003.
Yeah.
So you better check if there is an updated version to it. If there is any like a placeholder or something when the response comes up, it would be nicer for someone who is looking at it, have an idea that this is from an old document.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
There's a case study I'd like to talk about from Air Canada, where the chatbot gave a wrong answer and Air Canada got sued. And a lot of people thought it was the AI was wrong, but it really wasn't. It was just, it had an older document that it served up instead of a newer document that was misleading.
You cannot blame AI because your document is old.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's you.
It's me. Okay. All right. Let's see here. I don't know. I'll go back to, what have I not done? I haven't done a 2. Make connections. Okay. Here we go. Make connections. Describe your AI leadership style in 3 words. Give more examples. I think that's
awesome.
How
do you give more examples?
I think doing things like this is showing up on LinkedIn, customer newsletters, or just even internal only videos. I've been trying to do a lot more of those, just show people like, here's what I think I understand about your role. Here's how I think it can work on AI, and then meet with them. I've got a department actually Monday. We're going to meet.
That's awesome.
Based on that iteration, like here's what I think you guys are doing. Is this right? And then like, or here's a way to like a sandbox to play in, to try if it's safe, experiment, and then give me feedback, and let's iterate and try a couple more examples.
Are you a proponent of video documentation versus descriptive documentation?
I like video. I think you need a little bit of both. If it's a routine task, I think sometimes people like static videos or not videos, but like screenshots so they can quickly go through. But I think if it's something that requires a little bit of explanation, I think video can be better. I'd much rather shoot a 5-minute video,
short, easily consumed,
and send it out versus a 30-minute meeting. Now, I know sometimes that doesn't allow people to ask questions, but I find it's a good place to start. And sometimes I can avoid a 30, 60-minute meeting. But if they look at the video and they're like, I still don't understand, then at least I can, maybe have a meeting to do more in-depth explanation. But I think it's a good place to start. I have found, it was earlier in my career where I found I needed to replicate myself. I was answering the same question a few times. And then I created a pretty robust library of just like, here are things I know that I know other people need to do in their job. And I found all of a sudden, just by having the video out there, it really cut down on the number of inquiries.
Geoff AI.
It was like Geoff AI. Yeah. So it helped. And then that wasn't even AI. That was even just like, there's just some data. Or like if somebody asks me a question, here's a video, go check it out.
Yes.
A lot shorter.
There's actually a company, a startup, which is grabbing the knowledge of a specific character and putting an AI agent on top of it. So this agent will give you the responses as if the actual person is giving you the responses. It could be Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad. It could be Albert Einstein. It could be an existing person like Bill Gates.
Yes.
Or Sundar Pichai.
Yeah.
So they are actually using the publicly available information of a specific person, be it the note that they put out there, or a video,
or books,
and books. So someone reading the answer from that agent will instantly feel like this is an answer from that person. The response has a persona of that person. That's itself is insane.
It is insane. I know a lot of people liked when ChatGPT first came out, having it respond in the voice of Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Reading responses. So that's cool.
So I'm going to do next. Okay. I'll introduce myself. What's on your tech wish list this year? I wanted to get into the weeds of the AI compliance and risk.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always on the consumption side of it. And I wanted to get into what are all the ways we could guardrail certain things? How can we make sure that certain systems are meeting the compliance of certain compliance agencies that financial institutions or medical institutions should have compliance.
Yeah, I think that's a real, especially financial services, the compliance component is huge.
Yeah.
So what have you found so far?
There is a list called MITRE Matrix.
Okay.
It's an AI compliance for any organization who has to follow certain guardrails.
And how do you spell that?
MITRE.
MITRE. Okay.
MITRE. Yeah.
MITRE. Okay.
Have you heard about it?
No.
Yeah.
Go on.
It has I think nine principles as to what each organization or each AI system should follow. And that is something that I'm seeing as I talk to security professionals, that they are talking about it.
Oh, interesting.
So since they're talking about it, they probably believe that that's a standard, that should be a standard at least. So I haven't spent much time into those things yet, but that's something that I wanted to get myself indulged with.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest problems I've heard people say is we don't really have a great way of auditing AI systems. I mean, you can have, legal protections, contracts, et cetera, but it's difficult to audit and know, is my data being used in a way that is unexpected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be lots and lots of new things that we'll get to hear in this space that we haven't heard, at least so far.
Yeah, I do wonder if, there's this concept in networking of like zero trust. I wonder if we're going to start having more of a zero trust with AI and thinking about like cleaning our data ahead of time and having zero trust of these AI systems and developing procedures around them to just basically just not trust them.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I've heard, at least from most of the organizations, even when I meet them in some public forums, is the first thing that they do is to like block everything AI.
Just block it all.
Or anything that has .ai as a domain name. And I keep telling some of the co-founders that I talk to from Y Combinator, hey, if you have an AI solution, you better have a .com domain too, so that your solution is not blocked in companies where they are by default blocking all .ai domains.
Interesting.
So today, I've at least the ones in my network, they for sure have all the AI websites blocked in their organization's network.
Interesting.
So
very interesting.
It's up to you.
All right. Introduce yourself. What's your biggest meeting pet peeve? I think it's when I have an appreciation for someone that likes the details, but at the same time, sometimes you can't go down a rabbit hole when you have a bigger agenda you have to get to. I guess that's my biggest pet peeve. How that relates to AI, I don't know.
What's the best career advice you ever received?
Ooh.
I love this question.
Okay.
One of my mentors told me that try to be comfortable in gray areas. You're always not given the fullest information for you to solve the problem. Your information could be very scarce. Your information could be very abstract. In some cases, you have to read the lines between them and come up with a solution. And early in my career, I always felt like I was not given enough information to solve the problem. But there's not going to be a scenario where you will have all the information. So that's the best advice I've ever received, that be comfortable in the gray areas and try to solve the problem.
I love that. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take one more card here.
One more card.
Yeah. All right. I will take Let's see. I'm going to go back to making connections. Number 2. Oh, what excites you most about the potential of AI? So I think working in financial services, when I first started my career, one of the things I noticed, there's still a lot of jobs that really aren't fun, that are tedious, monotonous, and just not great. And technology could help solve a lot of those. But there are so many jobs throughout all financial services that are still maybe just not really great jobs. I think AI has the potential to really help us make those jobs better, or just remove them completely and allow people to have much more meaningful and engaging work. I think that is what I am most excited about for AI.
Let me ask you a quick question.
Okay.
We've seen the AI kind of taking over the internet for the past 2 years, 2022. I was just looking at the LinkedIn post this morning. Today is the actual second birthday of ChatGPT.
Oh, today is?
Yeah, today.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Everyone talking about AI, everyone trying to plug in AI into their existing systems. What would be your predictions for 2025? Let's just say we are sitting next year, same time in the same place.
Great question.
What would be the world looking like, especially with the AI?
I think 2025 is the year where we start seeing a lot of AI projects moving to production. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, internal projects. We had a lot of pilots. Some of them the technology itself wasn't quite ready for prime time yet. And the other part is, what was it? The ChatGPT API came out in 23, spring of 23. So that's the first time developers get their hands on it, right? It takes them, let's say, a year-ish, right? They take a year to get their first iteration built, right? Then they need a feedback loop or a couple feedback loops. So I think starting in 2025, we're going to start to see where some of those startups that have got enough feedback loops to build some interesting products that are actually going to make it to production. So I might be a little bit early on this, but I think we're going to start seeing many more production. And I think people at high levels of influence that can fund some of these are starting to get it, and they're starting to put money behind it. So that's my predictions. I think 2025, we're going to start seeing a lot more AI projects actually come to production.
That's a great answer. I strongly feel the same thing too. And in fact, when I was at Gartner's conference, this was exactly what Gartner predicting too. Like 2025, people will see more use cases getting into production stage versus just staying in the POC stage.
Yeah. You know, you brought up Gartner. Interesting. If you look back at their hype curve for generative AI, if you look 2 years ago, they thought it was going to hit the plateau of productivity in 5 to 10 years.
No.
Last year, they came out and said, well, now it's more like 2 to 5. So what we saw was an acceleration. It's probably moving through the hype curve faster than they had anticipated.
Yes.
So I can see why they're saying the same thing for 2025.
They actually have an answer on why it's faster.
Okay.
Whatever the technology that kind of took the hype curve, the senior executives, they don't get to see hands-on those technologies like big data. These are the things, right? Machine learning, AI. Generative AI is different because they can literally try it right from their phones, like ChatGPT.
And these are the people funding the project.
Exactly.
Allocating budgets and all of these kind of things.
So they get to see that firsthand, not the information that they get from their directs.
Right.
So that's the reason why things are faster with generative AI versus any tech hype that had happened in the past several years.
Interesting.
So super interesting. Well, Geoff, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking time and talking with me and, playing this game with me. I'm really happy, spending time and doing this. And I really wanted to make more and more stuff if you're comfortable with this.
Awesome. Love to.
Take care. Thanks again.